All right, so now that our recording has started, we want to welcome today's guest speaker, Vanessa Lewis. She is a parent resource coordinator at PTI, which is Parent Training and Information. This is one of the programs of PAVE. And go ahead and start whenever you're ready, Vanessa. If there's anything more you want to add to the introduction, we'd love to know whatever you want to share with us.
No, that was nice, Dee. Thank you. And Mr. Davis, it's nice to see you, even though you can't see me. So, anyways, again, as she said, thank you all for being here to hear this training today regarding IEPs in Section 504. So we'll go ahead and get started in reference to the Parent Training Information Program. The PTI, and we're the PTI for Washington State. And what we do is help families, youth, and professionals navigate the special education and disability services for individuals ages 0 to 26. We offer direct support, training, and resources to understand rights under IDEA and Section 504. We support and teach parents and students how to participate in IEPs and advocate for their services. We also provide live and on-demand trainings on topics like early intervention, transition, and accommodations. And those topics are unexhaustive. There are several more topics that you can see on our website as far as the trainings, on-demand trainings, or also if you request for training in person. Okay, here we go. IEPs and 504 plans. And what we're going to do is understand the differences, eligibility, and supporting student success. Okay, when we look at the education rights, we have this three-tier model of laws here. The first one would be IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It provides a full range of special education programs and services for qualifying students. Then we have Section 504 in Americans with Disabilities Act, guarantees non-discriminatory rights to equitable access for individuals with disabilities. And then lastly, we have Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, providing all children in the United States the right to a free public education to ensure that every child succeeds. Okay, what is an individual education program? Parentheses IEP. It's for students aged 3 to 22 or until graduation from high school. They have been evaluated and determined to have a disability that negatively impacts learning, have a unique need that cannot be addressed through education and general education classes with or without individual accommodations, qualifies under the 14 eligibility categories that's listed in our Washington State Administrative Code, and then needs special education related services through an individualized education program or IEP. So these are the 14 qualifying categories under Washington State Administrative Code for special education. So we have autism, deaf blindness, deafness, developmental delay, ages 0 to 9, emotional/behavioral disability, hard of hearing, intellectual disability, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairment, other health impairment, specific learning disabilities, speech or language impairment, traumatic brain injury, or visual impairment, including blindness. Okay, here's a question, and she might have already put that in the chat, but which of the following are required elements for IEP eligibility? And you can put that information in the chat.
Absolutely. All right, so you see on the screen, you've got your options are A, qualifying disability, B, need for special education services, C, accommodations only, or D, adverse impact on learning. So you can tell us your answer with an A, B, C, D, whichever or a combination of, because there is more than one correct answer. And I just realized I'm so sorry. I dropped those those into the wrong chat. I was responding to somebody. So my apologies. Let me put these in there. There we go. They are now in the chat box.
Thank you, Dee.
All right, I see some answers coming through. We have an all of the above with a question mark. A, B, D. C is for the 504, right? Somebody else. A, B, D. All right, Vanessa, which ones are, oh, another answer, A, B, D. So we've got three that say A, B, D. What do you think?
A, B, and D are the correct answers. And number C would be when you're looking at section 504.
What?
Okay, here's an acronym to remember, and that's, oh, the whole slide is not up there, but it's FAPE, which means free, appropriate, public education. In other words, it fits like a proper glove. And the services are designed for progress, not just for minimal benefit, but should be meaningful benefit education for our students. Okay, when you look at what is a Section 504 plan, changes how a student learns and what they learn, available to students with a disability that substantially limits a major life activity, ensures equal access and protects against discrimination. It may include accommodations to support access to general education, modifications to instruction or expectations, related services such as counseling or therapy, and requires identification, evaluation, and periodic review. And again, when you're looking at related services, whether in a special ed or looking at 504, those services are unexhausted and they're a part of helping our students access their education. Um, Section 504 is civil rights law preventing discrimination for students with impairments, substantially limiting a major life activity, provides accommodations, not specialized instruction, and it's overseen by the Office for Civil Rights. The Section 504 evaluation process includes, is there a disability? Number one. Number two, does that disability impact a major life activity? And then when you're looking at major life activities under Section 504, you're looking at learning, reading, breathing, talking, eating, walking, toileting, socializing, thinking, attention, and participation. And there are others too that could be included as well. Questions related to Section 504. Does a child with a disability need something to access what non-disabled students access without that support? Answer is yes. Not serving the identified need is discrimination. Okay, examples of Section 504 protections. You have classroom. You're looking at the classroom accommodations. You're looking at extended time, preferential seating, breaks. Again, related services could include nursing, counseling, transportation. Environmental adjustments, you're looking at ramps, adaptive equipment, and accessible restrooms. The key differences between IEP and Section 504. When you're looking at IDEA, excuse me, the type of law, it's an education law, and Section 504 is a civil rights law. The eligibility category are specific categories under IDEA, and that's the 14 category qualifying categories. And then under Section 504, it's in any disability impacting learning. And again, under Section 504, it can encompass a number of disabilities. It's not just limited to 14. The purpose under IDEA is to provide special education, and then under Section 504 is to prevent discrimination. Um, Funding under IDEA, yes, there is funding, and under Section 504, no, there is no funding underneath that. When you're looking at the age range under IDEA, you're looking at ages 3 to 22. And then from under Section 504, lifespan, or you can say from 0 unto death. It goes from birth to death under Section 504 or lifespan. When you're looking at supports, looking at special education under IDEA, under Section 504, you're looking at accommodations, aids, and services. Parent participation under IDEA, we're equal team members on the IEP teams. Parents are. And then under Section 504, the parent has a right to participate. Length of services under IDEA, IEPs end at either high school graduation or age 22. And then under Section 504, the services may inform college support request. I might not be saying that right, but I'll come back to that. And then when you're looking at progress tracking, under the IEPs or under IDEA, you're looking at least quarterly, which includes goals, and then you're looking at the 3-year reevaluation. But it's important to know under the progress tracking for the quarterly piece is that those progress reports are really important, for families or individuals to have because you can see the progress of your student, whether they're making the progress or whether it's skill is still emerging or no progress has been made. Because it's like 4 areas that are listed under those progress reports, and that's part of the information that you use to determine whether the student is receiving appropriate FAPE, free appropriate public education. And then when you're looking under Section 504, it's a periodic reevaluation.
I think this point about the length of services, Vanessa, that you mentioned, I think it's a really good point to pull forward. Quite often we think because 504 applies to the lifespan, we tend to think as parents that, okay, the 504 plan developed in school is legit, it's credible. That's what they're going to get moving on through college. And I think that's what this point is about, that it can help to inform those decisions and what the student may be able to get in college, but it doesn't actually transfer. I know you have those conversations with parents. Is there anything that you would add to that?
Well, usually, when I've worked with the disability specialists and the families at the community colleges or where the student is going, is that you need a current evaluation from the school, evaluation, special education evaluation, and then that information is used to inform what type of accommodations or support the student will need in college, working with the disability specialist. I hope I said that right.
You did, absolutely. It's kind of a misnomer that all of the universities, colleges, they will all offer these same services. And so I think that's part of that requirement. Like you said, the community colleges, they want to see an evaluation that says, this is what we propose. Now, if that student goes on to a university or goes out of state, a different college may have different accommodations. Note
Exactly.
takers are very common, but they may not be able to get other assistance that they might have gotten at this one. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
No, no, you're saying it right. And I was going to call him Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, what do you think?
It's so funny, Vanessa, which I love. I love your presentations, Vanessa. Thank you so much. I have found that the college setting is much more accommodating than the high school setting in many ways. In college, I find that professors at that level have office hours that are very open and they really want students to connect with them and they could have these conversations. The disability students associations and offices are always like welcoming, like thank you for coming in. And everybody's, in my experience over the many years, have been really so welcoming. I'll just say that. And I haven't found that many hiccups. Vanessa, you probably walk that path more than I do. But I do know that when families are trying to get 504 plans in a high school or even a middle school environment, sometimes it becomes very bureaucratic. And I don't have that feeling at the college level.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
I
Thank you.
love that.
God, yes.
I have another question, but I'm going to table it. I just realized, I'm sorry, Vanessa, I didn't mean to go in a different direction, but I'm loving where it went all the same. So just a reminder to anybody else, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. We will stop the recording before we start to read those off, but we will address all of those questions. So feel free to bring them on, okay?
Okay. And when we're looking at the questions the team must ask under a or under IEP or 504, under the IEP, does the student have a disability or slash disabilities? Question 1. Question 2, does a disability negatively impact the student's educational and performance? And then question 3 is, does the student require individualized accommodations and specially designed instruction to benefit from their education? And then under the 504 plan, question 1, does the student have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities? Question 2, is there a record of such an impairment or are they regarded as having one? And then question 3, does the student need accommodations or services to access learning in the general education setting? Okay, and then we have the procedural safeguards or the parent rights. I wish it would say parent rights, but those are usually given to us after our meetings and so forth, for us, to review because there's not a requirement for those to be explained to us other than to give them to us. Um, and so what will be included in that is information regarding notice, protecting access to information, the institute procedures for resolving disagreements, such as, mediation, due process, citizens complaints, all of that. All of that information is contained in the procedural safeguards. The right to review all educational records. One of the other things is that there's a disagreement with an evaluation that is done through the school, that families have the right to request an independent educational evaluation at public expense. Um, the next would be to act informally or formally. And then, if you have not been able to resolve all of these various steps, regarding your student's education, you can move into a civil action suit, but that's not where we tell families to start at. Usually you're trying to exhaust your steps, at the building level, district level, and maybe even a mediation sometimes, to help bring closure to what's not happening for your student. And then here's some resources for you regarding the educational rights. And actually, these slides will be sent to you, and you'll be able to click on to each one of those links to be able to get the information, to review for yourself. And you can contact us. There's language translation. There is language translation services available. You can go to WAPA to complete a support request form, or you can always call our toll-free number and leave information and someone will get back with you. And again, we're here to support, not report. Your journey is yours and your story stays with you. Amen.
All
Well,
right,
that's it.
I was like, I have that feeling. I'm gonna go ahead and stop our recording. And as